Hello all. My name is Metha Atre and I'm working as a scientific consultant with IDLE. You pronounce it right at the beginning. I have a PhD in computer science and my research focuses mainly databases and graph databases. And I'm going to talk about how to use distributed deep learning with volunteer computing like Paradigm. So let's see some highlights about IDLE Inc. So we are trying to reinvent distributed deep learning technology to handle fault tolerance, variable network latency, and heterogeneity of the compute nodes. This is to actually do 70 to 90% cost reduction than if when you have to use HPC kind of environment to do distributed deep learning. Also to enable companies to carry out deep learning through efficient resource scheduling and allocation. IDLE was founded in year 2020, right in the middle of pandemic actually. And our team comprises of people from MIT, Stanford, and IIT, and experts in AI systems and security. The challenges of distributed deep learning, especially on volunteer computing, as we saw, are you have to handle fault tolerance, variable network latency, that comes from the host or clients that can join from different demographic locations, as well as the heterogeneity of computing nodes. So some may have GPUs, some may have only CPUs. Also, their RAM and the computing speeds might be different, etc. In distributed deep learning, using volunteer computing and heterogeneous computing nodes, you need to do optimal division of the job as well. So you need to chop a large distributed learning, deep learning job into optimal subcomponents, wherein you have to take care of vertical scaling. So how many number of concurrent jobs you want to run on a Boeing host, as well as horizontal scaling. So when you have too many subcomponents in a deep learning job, then how many clients you optimally want to schedule the jobs on, replication, etc. Also, you need to have multiple parameter servers, which is the server side of the distributed deep learning and they need to have concurrent access for updating the central copy of the model weight. So the model gets distributed in whole or in chunks to the Boeing clients, and they do their jobs and send the results back. And then the parameter servers have to update the central copy of the model weights, which will eventually become the trained model. You also have to do close tracking of the jobs on remote clients, because you have to make a decision whether if a job is aborted or not progressing, then whether to reschedule or not. So when we are doing distributed deep learning at IDLE, we are using the volunteer computing paradigm. And for that, we are using the Boeing middleware. In multiple parameter servers that I discussed on the previous slides, we have actually extended Boeing's assimilators as parameter servers. And these assimilators concurrently access the Redis key value server, which is separate from the MySQL server that Boeing uses for storing the server copy of the model weights. We also have designed a novel volunteer computing specific asynchronous stochastic gradient descent algorithm that we use while chopping a large deep learning job into multiple components and assembling the results together. So this is the picture that shows the general architecture of our system. As you can see, there are multiple components. On the left-hand side, you have the server-side components. The MySQL, Apache, CGI scheduler, etc. are mainly the Boeing server components. We have developed a work generator, which splits the task into multiple subtasks, or what in Boeing's term work units. And parameter servers, as I said, are extended from Boeing's assimilator. These parameter servers basically also access MySQL, of course, for knowing the jobs and the results that are coming from clients. And they also access Redis server that keeps the central copy of the model weights. And the fault tolerance basically comes from the fact that CGI scheduler keeps a track of each work unit or subtask that is scheduled on client, whether it is running or not. And it takes care of replication, as well as if a task has failed, then rescheduling it on some other live client, etc. The client and server, as people familiar with Boeing will know, communicate over HTTP protocol. So we do not need any separate ports, special ports open on clients. So we believe that having Boeing kind of middleware has really helped us in envisioning or sort of implementing the idea of bringing deep learning into the area of volunteer computing. So next, I'll basically just go over how Boeing has helped us in sort of conceptualizing as well as implementing the idea of bringing deep learning on a VC platform. So Boeing provides a platform with ample configuration options. It gives us an ability to create replication as well as redundancy of jobs that helps in taking care of fault tolerance. The Boeing's work unit basically run in a completely independent manner on each client or even multiple clients. That takes care of handling the variable network latency that is required to be handled in distributed deep learning. The host or Boeing's client also gets profiled in Boeing server. So we can collect information about whether the client has only GPU or only CPU, what kind of memory it has, etc. That helps us in handling the heterogeneity of clients or hosts that needs to be handled in the volunteer computing platform. And the nice thing is that it has these classes like validators and assimilators that are extendable. And as I talked on the previous slide, we have extended the assimilator to make the parameter server of distributed deep learning. And vertical scaling is possible with these assimilators and validators because you can run multiple of them, multiple daemons as validators and parameter servers, which can handle the horizontal scaling of the client. So if many clients join and if you are split your job horizontally a lot, then running multiple assimilators helps you handle the result processing. Boeing also provides plan classes for customized scheduling that helps us in deciding what type of jobs to schedule on what type of clients. The good thing is that it has web-based project tracking and administration, so you don't need any special tools or ports open. HTTP-based client-server communication also removes any need for having particular ports open on arbitrarily joining clients, and which is a great thing because otherwise it becomes difficult to take your solution in a volunteer computing paradigm where you have specific requirements for having certain ports open or not having firewalls, etc. The client GUI is also very easy for configuration at the client side to decide whether to use entire memory or only part of it, etc. Boeing code comes with many examples for getting started that has helped us at IDLE to sort of start building our idea on top of the Boeing middleware. And it has nice tools and APIs for direct use as well as extending at the server side as well, just as CreateWorks, staging a file, creating batch, etc. So I'll just discuss the results of the experiments that we have, which are, in my opinion, very interesting. So we ran experiments with our solution on top of Boeing middleware with CIFAR-10 benchmark and with 5 parameter servers and 5 clients versus 1 parameter server and 3 clients that are Boeing clients. We saw a reduction of whopping 8 hours in distributed deep learning training of CIFAR-10 benchmark. The training time of 5 parameter servers and 5 clients was actually was comparable to the centralized training. So we also ran the same job without Boeing on a central server in a traditional manner. And with 5 parameter servers and 5 clients, actually the timing was comparable to the centralized training. Vertical scaling is possible with the configuration option like max work units in progress. And we use that to vary the simultaneous work units on a client between 2, 4, and 8. The best performance we observed was with 5 parameter servers, 5 clients, and with 2 work units running in parallel. As I mentioned, we saw training time reduction by 50% with 1 parameter server and 3 clients. It took 16 hours, whereas with 5 parameter servers and 5 clients, it took 8 hours. And I want to mention over here that when we ran the 5 parameter servers and 5 clients experiment, the 5 clients, although we ran in a AWS cloud, the 5 clients were preemptible cloud instances. So they actually simulated a Boeing-like volunteer computing environment where a client might just leave suddenly at any moment, and some new client may suddenly join at any moment. And we still see very good performance with even this kind of configuration. And using the preemptible cloud instances basically gives us 70 to 90% reduction in the training cost, even if we go to the cloud solutions and to do the distributed deep learning, as opposed to if we use HPC kind of solutions or dedicated cloud instances. So I'll just show you the plot of the experiments that we conducted. So these are still only part of the experiments that we have plotted over here. We conducted a lot of different configurations, but the highlight is this, that when we ran with just one assimilator or parameter server, 3 client and 2 simultaneous work units on each client, we saw 16 hours of time. And when we scaled up vertically to go from 2 work units to 8 work units, we didn't see much difference in the time. So the reason for this was that the vertical scaling on the client was actually still causing bottleneck at the server side with just one parameter server running. So when we increased the number of parameter servers to 3, we saw a drop of 3 hours in the training time. And when we scaled horizontally, so more number of clients with horizontal scaling, scaled down vertically. So number of work units on each client from 8 to 2, and scaled up vertically from number of parameter servers from 3 to 5, we saw a great reduction of 8 hours. Our research is actually published in a paper right now at a SCADL workshop in IPDPS conference. Do check out our paper. The preprint is kept on archive. The link is given in the on the slide. And the next steps for us are going to be, we are going to look at scaling the parameter servers dynamically. So right now we have the number of parameter servers that run gets decided right at the server boot time. But we are planning to change that to have parameter servers get booted and booted down dynamically as the number of clients keep joining, to actually make it more robust to go in a real volunteer computing environment. Our experiments till now were only on CPU machines, and we are going to do it. We are going to train them on GPU and TPU and see how the acceleration there works. And we are going to focus on time series forecasting and streaming data models, because they are the ones which can really harness this distributed deep learning with volunteer computing, because they have to keep retraining their models all the time. And that's it. I'm open for any questions.
Great. That's very, very cool. If anybody has any questions, again, use the reactions hand raise function, and we can give you the mic. So it looks like we have a question from Ben. So Ben,
yeah, I'll just share the.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks very much. If you can put the URL.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Thanks.
Was that your question, Ben?
Yeah, I saw his question on the chat.
Okay. So then I have I guess a question for you. It sounded like you're doing all of this inside cloud services, where you have comparatively low latency, but also a lot of bandwidth between the nodes.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if you envision a path that if your approach offers a path forward to run this on volunteered resources, in the sense that's more typically the case in Blink, or if you think you're building mostly a cloud service. Both are cool.
So, no, so your question is right, and that's a good question. So I'll answer it this way. The way we have built is with the vision of having being able to deploy it on real volunteer computing paradigm. So you can take this solution in a real volunteer computing like environment. Say Boeing has a huge cluster of its own. We ran it on cloud because we wanted to also see that if we have certain organizational customers who want to use this kind of solution, they might be little uncomfortable to have their data as well as models go on arbitrary client machines where they might feel sort of threatened by the security concerns and privacy concerns as well. So our current solution will, if you take it to, let's say, a volunteer computing environment, it will run definitely because the VC ASGD distributed deep learning novel algorithm that we have built is mainly meant for that. But we have also kept in mind that we may want to actually keep it to cloud to alleviate the fears of any security and privacy concerns, but have a solution which can give you 70 to 90% cost reduction so that you don't have to always go for huge HPC kind of clusters.
Okay, thank you. So we have a few other questions. Mr. HH, you can unmute yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I have a question about the scaling because the scaling is kind of not completely optimal. So do you understand where these kind of restrictions come from?
So scaling is not optimal. What do you mean by that exactly?
You show the plot of the scaling kind of in the number of hours you needed to. So I would say that is far from optimal. So do you understand where this non-optimality comes from?
So are you talking in terms of the accuracy of the model or from the time and how many number of clients and
the
performance as valid accuracy, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So what we have understood is that in asynchronous stochastic gradient descent algorithms, in a distributed model, they have a way of actually assimilating the weights coming from the clients in a central copy in a sort of lazy manner. They don't. So Google had a paper a few years ago in which they were a downpour algorithm where they would just override, but it was found out in the later experiments that it is not very optimal and it takes really long time. So we have adopted some of the newer solutions where they have shown a lazy way of adopting the client's weights into the central copy of the weight. So there is a what we call as training hyperparameter alpha that decides how much of the client's weight sent will actually get accommodated. Because if you have some client with only chunk of data, it's not really good to just override those weights. So that is where actually we are experimenting, and we plan to actually make some algorithmic investigations there as well with respect to the optimality.
Okay, thanks.
If I may add, there are also other methods where people have suggested that although some of the really large data sets are hard to run on a centralized server, but the combination solutions are also suggested where you run initial part of training in a centralized manner, or let's say even in a HPC kind of manner, where you quickly reach a higher model accuracy. And then from there onwards, you shift your training to a more distributed or volunteer computing kind of scenario. That gives, I think, better results with respect to the model performance.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much. That was really interesting.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
To further conversation in the panel to come. Next up on this